Chats. Welcome back to another episode of Chat About Tay. I'm your host, Bella, and in this episode, I'm going to be chatting about the final 2 episodes of the End of an Era docuseries. So I just finished watching the final 2 episodes of the End of an Era docuseries, and they were so sweet. I said I liked the episodes last time the most, but I might like these 2 the most out of all of the episodes. They were just really, really sweet. There was just a lot of talk about closing out the tour and about her family and everything. And I just thought these episodes were just really, really nice. So episode 5 is titled Marjorie, and Marjorie is the name of Taylor's grandmother on her mother's side, so Andrea's mother. And Andrea, of course, is Taylor's mom. The episode opens with a clip of Taylor playing the piano as a baby, and her grandmother Marjorie is there with her. And there were just a lot of clips of Marjorie throughout this whole episode, and Taylor as a baby with Marjorie and her mom with Marjorie. And her mom was filming, most of these clips. They also show in Toronto with fans outside getting ready for the show because the final shows are in Canada. And then there's a sound check with Taylor backstage rehearsing, and she says that she has a cold and she's coughing a lot, but she's still, the show must go on. She's still practicing, and her mom and her are discussing Thanksgiving dinner, and Taylor's asking if she can make the ribs for Travis because Travis likes these ribs that her mom makes. They're talking about how touring has really brought her family together, and the tour is also a celebration of her family because they've been involved with her career since the beginning. And her mom discusses how her and her father were always really supportive. Taylor also discusses this as well, that her family has just been so supportive of her for her entire career, and that her career was really challenging for her and her family, but they wanted it for her because she wanted it so much. And her family says that the tour is really an honor, and they're just honored to be a part of it, and it's been a privilege to work on the tour with her, and they're just honoring, what they've committed to as a family. And so they show more clips of Taylor practicing backstage. She discusses how she was nominated for 6 Grammys, and one of the songs that she was nominated for was Us with Gracie Abrams. And they show clips of Taylor and Gracie working on that song, and those clips were actually posted to, I think it was Gracie's Instagram page a while ago. So I've actually seen those clips, but it was really cute to see those on the documentary as well. And Taylor discusses how she wanted to bring Gracie out for the surprise songs, and they wanted to do a mashup of the song Us with Out of the Woods. And Gracie is talking about the mashup backstage and how she's so excited to be working with Taylor again, and so excited to be doing the mashups on stage. And then Taylor is practicing more surprise songs, and it's a mashup of Evermore and Peter on the piano. And again, she's talking about how she has a cold and she's working through it. And her mom discusses how she doesn't know how Taylor does all of this. And she was discussing how she's not very creative, but she gets all of her creativity and everything from her grandmother. And Andrea says that she was a businesswoman and she did, business growing up, and that was more of her passion. And that her mom, Marjorie, was an opera singer. They show a lot of clips and photos of Marjorie, and she looks so much just like Taylor and Andrea put together. I mean, obviously Taylor and Andrea were born after Marjorie, so they look like her, but it's crazy to look at videos and pictures of Marjorie, and you can just see Taylor and Andrea in her face as well. Andrea talks about how she had a really great relationship with her mother, and her sister were always going to her performances, and that Marjorie would ask Andrea and her sister for feedback after her performances, and just shows lots of different clips of her performances. And there's more clips of Marjorie and Taylor together when she was a baby, and she's really just was already encouraging Taylor to pursue music even as a baby, because the clip is of Taylor playing the piano as just a baby, and Marjorie, is there with her, and she's just so happy that Taylor's playing the piano, even though she's just kind of hitting the keys on the keyboard. And Andrea says that because her mom was an opera singer and she was kind of in that world already, that really prepared her for Taylor being a singer and a performer. And they discuss how Taylor was always writing music from a young age, and that when she was 11 years old, she wanted to go to Nashville and become a singer. And Andrea says that her past with Marjorie came into play when they went to Nashville because she was able to kind of use those skills that she had kind of learned from her mom to help Taylor. And she really wanted Taylor to pursue her dreams. And then there are some clips of her lead dancer, Amanda, in her childhood home in Toronto, because that's where they currently are for the tour. And she was showing off her room. And she talks about how you really need to have a certain personality to be on tour because it's a lot and it's not for everyone. But she loves being on tour. She loves being on the road. And this was always a dream of hers to, be doing this, what she's doing. And she says that after this tour, her dance career is over forever. And it's kind of bittersweet. And then there's a clip of Amanda with her family at their home, and they're just talking about how she always wanted to be a dancer. And they show some childhood like papers and drawings of that she made when she was young. And they're all, talking about how like she wants to be a dancer and that she loves dance and that's like what she wanted to do as when she grew up. And it's just really, really sweet. And she said her family is coming to the show and they're really, really proud of her. Then there's just some clips of fans outside the stadium. There's a huddle led by Amanda, and she says that this is the last time she'll be able to do this and that her life has forever been changed because of the tour and Taylor. And then there's just clips of Taylor on stage during the show with Amanda's family in the crowd watching them, and they're just so proud of her. There's fans in the crowd, and Andrea talks about how Taylor really wanted to have a connection with her fans and give the audience what they wanted and really be able to connect with them, but she's not really able to do that in the same capacity anymore because of COVID and because of safety, but she still wanted to give people this intimate experience even when she can't actually be close to them. She really wanted the production to be accessible to everybody in the crowd, so they talk about how there's floor visuals, there's wall visuals, there's a cinematographer on staff, and then they show that, she wanted to have some kind of surprises and stuff. So they show clips of her learning about like the little area on the stage that gets cut out after the surprise songs, and she like dives into the stage. They talk about that, and she's practicing it, and they show some clips of her doing that like on stage, and she said it was really, really fun, and she thinks that the fans are going to love it, and there's clips of the crowd reacting to that part of the set as well. And then Andrea says that they wanted this tour to be the biggest ever, but it's really nothing without Taylor being there. And then there's a lot of clips of her in recording sessions throughout her career, and she talks about how writing and singing is just such a joy for her, and that writing sessions really are her space, and that she never gets bored of songwriting, and she's always writing no matter where she is. If she's on tour, if she's at home, no matter where she is or what she's doing, she's always writing music. And then she discusses going to Sweden in between shows to work on the Life of a Showgirl album with Max Martin and Johann Shellback, and there's lots of clips of those sessions and of them making the album. And she felt like when she was on tour, life was full of possibilities, and she wanted to get that feeling put into the album. She said she hadn't made music with Martin and Shellback since Reputation in 2017, but their relationship was always sort of like mentor-apprentice, and she really loves working with them. And there's clips of them in the studio, and she said that their relationship is respectful and of friendship. And then they show this really cute clip of them in Sweden having this like Swedish Christmas drink together, and Taylor just reacting to drinking it. And it was really cute just to see these clips of them, not just like in the studio, but also just them as friends. I thought that was really cool. And then there's tons more clips of them working on the songs. And Andrea talks about how she gets to hear the songs like 5 minutes after they're created, and that she said it's kind of a lot of pressure and a lot of responsibility to like know these songs and hear them. And she says sometimes she doesn't want Taylor to send them to her because she doesn't want to like, leak them or, accidentally like sing them around somebody, which I thought was kind of funny. And then there's just more clips of them in the sessions. And she says she loves to have different themes throughout her songs and throughout her different albums. And she talks about how the fans feel really connected to her through her songs, and that they resonate with her. And some of her crew members are also discussing that as well. Just how, and this is something that I've talked about a lot as well, is that no matter like where you are in your life, Taylor's songs do resonate with you. Even if you've never felt that specific heartbreak or that specific like situation, you can still relate to her music. And then there's a ton of clips of fans singing her songs, on YouTube videos, TikTok, and all that stuff. And they just mentioned like how the songs are specific to Taylor, but they're still relatable, which is something that I think makes Taylor stand out from so many other people. And I think that's why she's gotten like so popular, is because her music does resonate with so many people. And then there's more clips of Gracie talking about how Taylor's music had inspired her from a young age, and that she, grew up being a fan of Taylor, and now it's just really cool that she gets to have a song with her and she got to open for her on tour. And then there's Gracie and Taylor practicing a surprise song backstage, and they're practicing the little bit that they're going to be doing as well. And again, she's just saying that she can't believe she's working with Taylor, and it's just a privilege to have her as a friend. And it feels like a dream to be working with Taylor. And then there's a clip of Gracie underneath the stage coming out to perform the mashup, and Taylor says that there is a bond when friends make music together. And she talks about how her opening acts were kids, when her music came out and they looked up to her, and now, they were opening for her and they're friends with her. And it's just a really cool experience to have. And then Andrea talks about how she loves seeing the fans react to the different parts of the show and how excited they are when Taylor comes out on stage, and she feels like everything was worth it just for these moments, and that she had the same feeling watching her mom as she does watching Taylor on stage. And then she discusses dedicating the song Marjorie to her grandmother, and then Taylor is talking about writing the song, and she says that she felt like Marjorie is always there with her on stage because there is a, vocal of Marjorie in the song Marjorie. So when she says, "It feels like you're singing to me now," there's like a little operatic melody there, and that is actually a clip of Marjorie. So she really is singing with her every night on the tour. And that when she does the song on tour every night, Andrea just didn't know if she would be able to hear it every night without crying, but the fans really love the song, and that just makes her so happy how much the fans really resonate with this song. And the song is, obviously about her grandmother, but it makes other people think of their family, and they're able to relate to it in the way that, that it speaks to them. And then her crew was talking about how the song is relatable to them in their own experiences. And during that entire section of the documentary, I was crying. And then there's clips of the crew getting ready backstage, the dancers and the singers. Everyone's just so happy to be there on the tour. And one of her singers, Camila, lost her mom a few years ago, before the tour started, and that all of the music and just being on this tour has been really healing for her. And then she leads the huddle backstage, and she talks about how this tour is the happiest moment of her life, but it's been also really hard for her because of her mom, and that she's really lucky and grateful to be here, and that all of the emotions that she's feeling are kind of all over the place, but she can be happy and sad at the same time. And then Taylor hugs her, and they're both crying. And then there's the crowd watching the show as she sings Marjorie, and they show most of the performance of Marjorie. And again, I was crying during this section because her mom and her dad are watching. Andrea's talking about how proud she is of Taylor and how proud Marjorie would be of Taylor. And then the crew is talking about how much that song means to them, and Andrea talks about how much the song means to her. And there's a clip of Taylor on stage during that performance. After Marjorie, she gets really emotional, and she's talking to the crowd just about how much, this song means to her and how much the tour means to her, and that she loves everybody. And then there's a clip of Taylor leaving the show backstage, hugging her mom and her brother, and she's in the car with Austin, who's her brother. And she's talking about how she got really emotional on stage, and she kind of felt dumb because she got emotional and she stopped the concert for a minute, but her brother said that it was a really sweet moment, and she said she was just inspired by Camila's speech, and she felt lucky to be sharing that moment with her, and that she just kind of broke down. And her mom says that she has every right to be emotional, and that she's lucky to be experiencing this with her family. And that is the end of that episode. So now we are moving on to episode 6, which is titled Remember This Moment. And so it begins with clips of the tour and different news segments talking about how the tour has changed people's lives. It's the highest grossing tour ever. And Taylor's talking about how this has changed her life. And she says that the final show is coming up, and then the city is decorated for the tour. Taylor's getting into the car on the way to the last 3 shows, which is in Vancouver, I believe. And she says she doesn't know how to feel or how everyone else is going to be feeling, but she's very proud and she's ready for this ending to happen. And that she's created a bonding experience for everybody on the tour, but also for the fans. And she's so proud of everything that they've accomplished, and she's excited for, the end, and she's happy that everything went so well. And then there's clips of the crowd outside getting ready to go into the show and exchanging friendship bracelets and in their costumes and taking pictures. Taylor's backstage reading a letter from Travis about how he was captivated by her at the show that he attended, and that it led him to finding the love of his life. Her mom is backstage talking about the last 3 shows, and Taylor is preparing for being sad, but she's also feeling kind of strange because it's the end, but she's excited to, close it out. She's practicing a mashup that her mom requested, which is Never Grow Up and Best Day, and both of them are laughing and crying because it's just a sad, sweet moment. And then her dad and her brother come in, and she's singing the bridge of the song, where she mentions like her mom, her dad, and her brother, and everyone's getting emotional. And she said she's singing the song and she's trying not to cry. And then her dancers and crew are asked to describe the tour in one word. So some of those words were magical, remarkable, phenomenal, joyous, and indescribable. And then they talk about what they're going to miss the most. And most of them said that they were going to just miss the family that they have, created, and all the people that they have met throughout the tour, and how much that their lives have changed and they've gained lifelong connections, and that they have had so much support from everybody, and that there's just so much chemistry and everything was just magical. And they had so much fun doing this, and they're so proud of everything, and they're proud of Taylor. And they mentioned that Taylor is just the best boss, and she treated them so well. And there's clips of all of them on stage together. And then there's this really cute clip of all of the crew, like the dancers, the singers, everybody going backstage before the huddle. And Taylor had made custom Eras Tour posters of them. So the Eras Tour features, a bunch of different pictures of Taylor throughout the different eras, and they're all like color coded. And so basically Taylor recreated that poster, but with all of her singers and dancers and her band members, and they're all just reacting to it. And then one of her dancers, I believe his name is Yavin. I apologize if I'm saying his name wrong. He is talking about how he is the first person that comes out onto the stage during the show, and he remembers when Taylor told him that that was going to be him. And he talks about how he just can't believe that he was picked to do that, and he feels like it was just such an honor, and that there's such an energy on tour. And he said that on his first day of the tour, when he first came out, he said he was trying not to cry and everything. And then there's a huddle led by Taylor for the last weekend. She said that everything has been really scary, there's been ups and downs, but she's so happy to be doing these last shows. They're doing some breathing exercises, and she said things are about to change because it's the end, but they're always going to remember it. And then Vancouver is the last shows, like I mentioned. The town is decorated, and she's talking about how she's been doing this for such a long time, and this tour was so huge for her. And she said that this is, what she's going to be known for. And she says that, a lot of times, like when artists are up and coming, or, their career, like their defining moment is kind of like early on in their career when they were younger. But this moment happened so late in her career. And I kind of agree with that. I think the tour is going to be what Taylor is known for, but I think another thing that Taylor's going to be known for is just her songwriting as well. And, she's still, is writing music. Like The Life of a Showgirl came out. She's obviously going to be still working on more albums. And, I think that this is obviously a defining moment in her career, but I think she's going to be remembered for so many other things besides the Eras tour as well. And she discusses how this tour became bigger than what anybody thought it was going to be. There's another clip of Taylor and Gracie backstage because they're going to be doing another mashup, because she said she had such a fun time doing the mashup with her previously. So they're going to be doing a mashup of I Love You, I'm Sorry, and Last Kiss. And they're really excited to be doing that. And Gracie says that Taylor just brings joy to so many people, and she's so grateful for this opportunity. And then Taylor says she wanted to give everyone a great experience. And Andrea said she loves seeing all the fans dressing up and connecting with each other, and that she loves hearing stories of people at the show, and that Taylor has really created a safe space for people to escape and feel happiness, and that everybody loves to look into the audience during the shows. And Taylor said she wants everybody to be shaped positively during the show. And then they talk about the moment in the Eras tour where Taylor gives the 22 hat to somebody. So Taylor comes out singing 22 for the Red Era portion of the show, and she's wearing the hat that she wears in the 22 music video, and she takes off the hat every night and gives it to a kid. And she talks about how that she doesn't actually know who this person is going to be, and that her crew picks the person, which I thought was really cool. So she's like meeting this person for the first time and having this moment with them, and she loves, giving the hat to the kid and having that connection with them. And then there's a little clip of her backstage talking about that moment that she had with the little girl, and that she said it was just a really special moment, and that is special every single time. And then the final show is about to happen. There's clips of the city and fans getting ready. And there's videos from social media where fans are saying, they're so sad that the tour is ending. Check on your Swifties. And, all those like little funny videos that people are making. And then there's clips of the stadium. Taylor is getting into the car on the way to the final show. Her mom says that she really did give the fans what they wanted for this. And Taylor is in her dressing room just getting ready. And she said that after the tour is over, she really wants to get back to some of the things that she was doing before the tour. She wants to do her hobbies. And she said that she kind of had like a different, like not like a different personality, but she, was kind of just in this different mindset during the tour. So she wanted to get back to her like normal personality, her normal hobbies. And she says that she's kind of forgotten some of those. So she really just wants to get back into that. And then she's also watching the Chiefs game backstage. with her dad. And she said that she never thought she would be talking about sports with her dad. And then she's practicing the last surprise songs, but she keeps getting distracted by the Chiefs game, which I think is really funny. And she said that the Chiefs winning would just be like icing on the cake and just the best thing to happen and would make the last day of the tour just even better if the Chiefs won. And then she's discussing the last surprise songs, which are Long Live, New Year's Day, and the Manuscript mashed up together. And her mom suggests that she change the lyric where it says, "This is the end of a decade with the start of an age." Her mom says to change it to "the end of an era, the start of an age." And she thinks that that's just like the coolest thing. And she was happy to end the surprise song set with those particular songs. There's fans outside getting ready for the show. The crew and Taylor are prepping for the last show. And they talk about how this tour showcased so many different people, so many different genres, personalities, body types, and everything. And that they were really able to just connect with the fans through the tour. Taylor's getting her makeup on, and she says that she is prepped for this tour to be over for the past 6 months. The football game is distracting her from getting too emotional. And she said she was holding her breath the entire time to make sure that the tour happened the way it needed to and that everybody was safe. And she's just really grateful that, there wasn't anything really awful that happened. And, even though the first couple episodes they discussed those tragedies that happened, she was just holding her breath the whole time that nothing else would be happening. There's the final backstage prep where everybody is hugging and everyone's so happy. The crew is talking about Taylor's impact and how much she's done for them and how much this tour means to them. And the different crew members talk about how the fans know them because Taylor gave them this opportunity and that they love her fans. Again, they mentioned a bit about how the crew just has so many different people of different races, body types, and everything, and how everybody was able to be celebrated through this tour. Taylor's getting her outfit on, and they're going to the final huddle, and Taylor comes into the room. Everybody is cheering, and then part of her speech in the huddle, she said she's reminded of her favorite quote, which says, "Everybody is jealous of what you've got, but no one is jealous of what you had to do to get it." And I think that's such an interesting quote, and I think that really I think that quote just perfectly captures Taylor's life and her career, because that's so true. People are just jealous of her or they want what she has, but they don't really want to go through all the struggles that she went to as well. And she says that the tour, people think that the tour was something that just sort of fell into place, but that's not really what it was. It was everybody coming together to make it what it was. And they've set every record that they possibly could with the tour. They traveled the whole world for it. And, she's just so proud of everybody. And then they do one last chant, which is "fuck shit up," which I still love. And then everybody is moving backstage, getting to their places. Taylor gets into the cleaning cart one last time. There's a camera in there that's showing her, in the cart, and she's just kind of breathing. And it seems like she's nervous but excited. The crowd is going crazy. The show is starting for the last time. Fans are cheering, and everybody backstage is cheering for her before she goes on stage. The crew is really happy, but they show a couple of people crying as well. Taylor is being lifted up onto the stage for one last time. They show Taylor playing the surprise song with the lyric change. They show clips of the crowd and everybody is cheering. And then they show the one last dive into the stage after the surprise song. Taylor said that she was the leader of this show, and she says that she was so proud to be the leader and that there was such a joy with this show, but there was also anger and heartbreak and, all of that as well. But it's all brought her joy, and that everybody can connect through the songs, and the show is accepting of all passions and all ways of life. There's one last bow on stage after Karma, and everybody is hugging, and she says that this tour was such a phenomenon, and everybody backstage is cheering for her. They're so proud of her. She's hugging everybody again. They're leaving the stadium. They're having one last champagne toast backstage, and she says you have to take life one era at a time. They show everybody leaving the arena. They show different clips throughout the different tours and different clips of the crowd, and then this is cut throughout with clips of Taylor as a child and throughout her career, her dancers as well. And the song that is playing over top of all of this is "Happiness from Evermore." And the lyrics are, "There will be happiness after you, but there was happiness because of you. Both of these things can be true." And I think that kind of just sums up the tour as well. And then the final clip of the docuseries is the arena empty, all cleaned up, and there's on-screen text that says, "On December 8th, 2024, after 149 shows in 21 countries around the world, the Eras Tour had its final curtain call. On May 30th, 2025, Taylor purchased all of her previous work, thanking her fans for their support, making it possible. On August 20th, 2025, Taylor and Travis announced their engagement. On October 3rd, 2025, Taylor released her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, the biggest album of her career to date." And then the ending credits are played over the song "The Life of a Showgirl." So that was the End of an Era docuseries. I absolutely loved this docuseries. I thought this was just a really cool thing that Taylor, did for all of us and really showcasing the tour. I'm really excited to watch the final show of the Eras tour. I haven't watched that yet. I'm going to be watching that over the holidays, and I'm going to be doing probably my first episode of 2026 is going to be about that. And like I said, many, 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 many times, I did not get to go to the Eras tour, but I feel like through like the movies that she put on and like the docu series, like I don't know. I kind of feel like I went to it like by proxy. And I think that's kind of like what she was trying to get at, like through having the shows filmed for everybody, having them, in the theater. I did go see the first Eras Tour movie in the theater, and that was like kind of like my moment. And she didn't really talk about that in the documentary, how she like did that for the fans, because I think this was more just showcasing like the last portion of the tour. So all of that was obviously like done prior to them filming the docuseries. But I think that this docuseries was just really, really amazing. It was really cool. It was really well put together. And I hope that she does more documentaries like this. I've seen like the other ones that she's done. And I am just really excited for the next chapter with Taylor. I don't believe that she is going to be touring with The Life of a Showgirl. I would absolutely love if she toured because that is my third favorite album. I've mentioned that many times. But I'm just really excited, and I just hope that with her next tour, the ticketing situation is much better. And I know that like obviously so many people went to the tour. There was like I can't even remember how many people she said went to the tour, but it was like hundreds of thousands of people like went to this tour. So obviously it was successful. It was the most, it was the highest grossing tour of all time. It was so, so, so successful. But I'm just hoping that like with the next tours that she does, that she can make the ticketing process better. And I don't blame her for the Ticketmaster situation, but I hope that they're working behind the scenes on some way to make it less of a mess and allow for more people to see her. So I'm excited to see what comes next from Taylor. So yeah, that is it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed hearing about the last two episodes of the End of an Era docuseries. I hope you've enjoyed my podcast episodes about the docuseries. I hope that you are inspired to watch the episodes or go back and rewatch them. I'm definitely going to be rewatching them as well. And as always, stay safe, stay classy, and I'll chat again with you soon. Goodbye. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find us on Spotify, Good Pods, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. See you there.